Welcome to Board Game Binge, the place where we bring you bite-sized, bingeable board game content from across the industry. I'm your host, James Staley, and in this episode, we're welcoming back Artem Stepanov from Shvili Games. Artem's most recent title, Diceverse, a quick, deep, and addictive dice strategy game, is currently on Kickstarter. Artem, welcome to the binge. How you doing, my friend?
I'm great. Thank you, James, for invitation. I'm happy to be here.
It is fantastic having you back on the podcast. I know we had talked about Meenakshi Temple last time you were on, and I mean that game looked so cool. So obviously, I get the sense in the style of games and like the one we're going to talk about today is that it's kind of that tactile experience that you guys really kind of lean heavily into and to kind of make it a bit of a showpiece. So we're going to talk about Diceverse in a second. But first and foremost, for those who don't know you, you are a returning guest. You're on about a year and a half ago. Can you let our guests know just quickly kind of where your company is located and kind of just a little bit about your background?
We are located in Georgia, in Eastern Europe, rather small country, and our company is located here. But our company, it is mostly me and my wife, Marina, who is helping me a lot. And also we collaborate with a lot of freelancers, designers, illustrators, authors that help us to create games, to develop games. And they are located from North America to Eastern Europe, Russia, and other countries. So we are developing games for more than 5 years now, and not long ago, last year, we launched our first Kickstarter, as you mentioned, the game Meenakshi Temple, and we liked this experience. We liked a lot that you can communicate directly to your customers, to your backers.
Yeah.
And now we launched our second game, and we also plan to launch a third project till the end of the year.
No, it's amazing. Now, for those who don't, so Georgia, for the board game industry, is the board game industry very large in Georgia, or how did you guys kind of get pulled into the board game industry? Like it seems so, for lack of a better word, remote versus some of the other countries that are really into the board game industry, right?
Actually, there is almost no board game industry in Georgia, but some groups of people who are located here, who play games, who try to develop games. And Georgia is in between the Europe market and CIS market with a big countries like Russia and Germany. So you can find board games in Russian language, you can find board games in European, in German, in English language. And it's the country like it's located in the eastern part between big two parts of our continent, between Europe and Asia. So that's why we're mostly work online and without gathering all people here. So
Yeah.
we need to work with different countries and different people from different
More
countries.
virtual playtesting and things like this, right? Some of these tools.
We certainly we have a group of playtesters here for
Yeah.
offline because it's rather hard um, to feel to feel the game only using tabletop or tabletop simulator.
Yeah, especially something like Meenakshi Temple, where it's very tactile, where you're stacking things,
Yeah.
right? Like that's got to be almost impossible to do on like a tabletop simulator or a tabletopia. And so then, how did you personally get into this industry then? So, like, given that there's not a huge industry in Georgia, how did you yourself get immersed in this whole hobby?
I worked for a long time in the video games
Mm,
distribution, and Mostly worked in distribution, sales, a little bit marketing. But several years ago, I started working in Hobby World. It is one of the biggest European publishers,
Yeah.
and this was the first time I met modern board games.
Mm.
So like Catan, Ticket to Ride, Carcassonne, and so on. And at the same time, board game industry in last 10, 20 years, it's just blowing a lot of new projects and so on. And working in this big publisher, I also worked on our our own projects, our own games. And I liked this process so much that I decided to start my own company, because in big company you have a lot of people, a lot of staff who can say, I like this, no, I don't like this, and so on. You have a
Yeah.
lot of appointments, and I decided that it's a big pleasure to decide mostly everything on your own, to
Yeah.
create products that you want to make. But on the other hand, it's all your fault if if everything goes wrong.
The buck stops
But
here, I think is the saying, right?
yeah, yeah. But I like creating something from just from starting print and
Yeah.
play version to the final product. This process excites me very much, and I like it very much.
And often I'll talk to some friends in who aren't necessarily in the industry, and we'll say, why are you doing the board games? Like, kind of what's the hook, right? It seems like a lot of work for very little pay, right? And my response is always the same, which is that especially as a designer, as a board game designer, there is no feeling like seeing people play a game that you've created and
Hmm.
laugh and enjoy themselves and have fun without you even being involved. Like, you can be a fly on the wall or on the other side of the room and you see people pull out a game. And this has happened to me several times in my local meetups, where now that I've been in the industry for several years, obviously friends and so forth have backed some of my games, and I'll be off at a game table and look over and I'll see somebody pull one of my games out of their game bag and put it on the table and start playing, right? And I just have to pause and just kind of just take it in, right? Just kind of just say, I just live in this moment, so to speak, right? Because it is such an amazing feeling knowing that you've brought joy to others through something that you've created from nothing, right? And so that
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that's the hook, I think, for at least for me. So with Meenakshi Temple, so this campaign has now fulfilled, I believe, right? When did that fulfill?
Yeah, well, last backers received, I think, their rewards in March. We had some damaged parcels as
Yeah,
usual, several of them, so we had to reship these
yeah,
backers with damaged components, and now even some of the I don't know, I say I call them lost backers, who backed and didn't fill the address,
yeah. Pledge manager and all that.
and you can't ship them. And I already have several of them who woke up and said, "Hey, where's my reward?" Oh, no,
Yeah.
no problem.
The
We
kicker
have
there
your
is,
games.
and for people who are listening or watching, if you are a backer and you're holding off on your pledge manager, for the love of God, please fill out your pledge manager. Like, I'm going through this right now on our most recent campaign, Survivors of Venus. We sent out updates saying, the pledge manager is now open. Please complete it by, May 1st. Sent out another update on last Thursday saying, please have this done by Monday. Fill out the pledge manager by. We have to get these numbers so we can get everything kind of ordered and so forth. And there's still like 55 backers with significant pledge sizes that haven't filled out their pledge
Hmm.
manager. And the challenge is Kickstarter doesn't give you any information as to where these people are. So I have an email address and I have a pledged amount, and that is it. And
Hmm.
the pain that us as publishers then have to go through is, I'm going to put games, so games going to the States, for instance, or games going to Europe, right, anywhere in the kind of European Union,
Hmm.
are going to go on a boat because that's going to give me the cheapest rates, and they're going to go in bulk. And when they get to the local carrier, it's going to get split up and kind of sent out to the different backers. But if someone doesn't fill out their pledge manager till like a month or two down the road after the due date, now I've got to send that as an individual parcel to that person by
Yeah,
air and
yeah,
so forth, and their cost is doubled for me to ship it to them. So
yeah.
it is so important to fill out the pledge manager on time to help out your publishers. It just minimize the pain they're going through, right? And there is always some of those lost ones. I still have them from, gosh, 3, 4, 5 campaigns ago, where
Hmm.
I know there's still 3 or 4 people. I don't know what happened. I don't know, did they pass away or what happened to those? Like they just never filled out a pledge manager. The pledge is sitting there, and you do your best to keep some inventory for those people, but at some point you kind of have to move on too, right? So it's it's one of these
Yeah, yeah,
frustrations, but
yeah.
I guess all par for the course. But that's so awesome to hear that you made it in before the tariff, right? This big uncertainties going on
Uh,
in the States, or
Actually, we were hit by the tariffs, so
wow,
we had two shipments to the United States, and in the middle of the first one, the tariffs were announced,
yeah,
and actually we've been, I think, till middle of March w without knowing how much we will need to pay or what amount. So there was it was a problem for us. So we
yeah,
lost several thousands of dollars, uh, but um, but I'm happy that we didn't meet current tariffs. So
yeah,
that's much higher because we met, I think it was around 20 or
20%, yeah,
30,
yeah,
yeah, something like that.
and
So
now it's 145%, yeah. There's people
yeah,
literally
so
abandoning their stock at port because they can't afford to pick it up because they have to
yeah,
pay 1.5
and
times what it costs to make the product. Yeah.
yeah, and I see a lot of bakers. They worry about it. They
Yeah.
write questions to us. I have a special text about tariffs in the FAQ section on the project page, explaining what ways we plan to do if situation will be unstable, because
Yeah.
we want to deliver all games before Christmas this year. Uh, but currently, I see that a lot of people are working on it. Manufacturers are trying to open branches in the nearby countries. Our logistic partner
Yeah.
it has a lot of updates. So I hope the situation will be clear in several months,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think
before high season.
Constantino's from Hive Interactive, who we had on just a couple episodes ago.
Hmm.
He says it best. He says it's the uncertainty that's the killer, right? That's what's grinding everything to a halt. If it was 145 and it's just that's the rate and you're going to live with
Hmm.
that and that's the permanent rate, at least we can plan around that, right? So then we can go, okay, now do we pack out in Vietnam or do we pack out in Sri Lanka, or do we do a country of origin somewhere besides China? But it's the uncertainty around, well, it might come down, we'll see, we think they're going to blink, so it's 145 now, but I don't think it's going to be that way forever. Like it is kind of like wet diaper of a direction of where the tariffs are going. That's the part that is grinding everything to a halt, unfortunately. It's a bit disruptive even for other countries, because if you are going to produce in another country, you're going to produce all your inventory in that other country. You're not going to do half your inventory, like the inventory for the
Yeah.
States in Vietnam, but everyone else in China. You're going to do it all in one country, and so planning around is a little bit difficult right now. Um, Thankfully, some of us, so on my most recent game, we're in the pre-production phase, so we're doing everything pre-production, right? So getting the tray, the
Hmm.
fine tuning on the tray, fine tuning on the artwork, last minute rule book, typos, updates, fixing all that kind of stuff you do just before you go to production. We're getting all of that ready now in our manufacturer's
Hmm.
long pack, and then hopefully within the next 2 months we'll then be able to make the call. Okay, now is it Vietnam? Is it China? Where are we going to go?
Hmm.
So and we're all in the same boat, which is we're doing our best to minimize the impact of the backer, right? None of us want to pass on tariffs. A lot of us are eating it, but you can only eat so much, right? As a small publisher, we're in this at the, because we enjoy it and we love the hobby and so forth, but we're not in it to lose money, right? So at the very
Yeah,
least, you
for
got to kind
sure.
of break even, right? So that's all I'll say on tariffs. Let's talk about Diceverse though. So when I saw this game, first of all, I'm a dice junkie. I absolutely love games that have dice in them. What got you kind of down this path on Diceverse? Like, what was the start of the development of this game?
Well, we discovered this game on one of our local conventions and fell in love with its concept at first glance because firstly it was a game in the ancient history setting. It was some old Greek wars with Troya and
Mm,
something like that. But I fell in love with the concept that to set up the game, you just throw dice armies on the board, and decide they are up. This is the health level, armory level, and movement level for this unit.
mm,
And different dice, they have different. Um, Numbers of power of movement on different sides,
yeah.
and on the one hand it creates great replayability, but you operate those dice units using cards,
Mm,
and different cards they work better with different sides, so it helps us to balance the game even if you have I don't know, a lot of units with level one or two,
yeah.
it means nothing at the start
Interesting.
because you can play in that way to create mighty combos using cards who work best on the one two units and so on. So and during the development, we had a lot of ideas. And firstly, it was just two factions, and we created two more during development. And I like the idea that every faction has not only D6 dice units, but it also has one base unit, and every faction has unique die as a base, starting from D4 to D12. And they also very asymmetric with very different abilities. I hope people will like this game. I feel it's like something like Unmatched,
Yeah.
but more tactical one, because in Unmatched you have one hero on the game board,
Yeah.
and here you up to 10 units, and you have much more tactical abilities
Yeah.
um, to
It's
perform
it's
during
cool looking.
play.
So a couple things I just want to jump. So I like this idea of kind of shuffling the dice and then just dropping them on the board, and that is kind of the
Mhm,
initial setup. Like that is
mhm.
a cool concept, right? So now I'm gonna move the dice around, but that is how you originally set the board. And then the different factions I thought was kind of cool is how you have the dice that are like your special die is kind of shaped almost like, so for instance, yeah, I think it's like a D10 you have that for like
Mhm.
the spaceship, right, that acts as like the flying saucer for the aliens
Yeah, yeah.
one,
It's
right, and
the
then
UFO.
yeah, for the UFO, or you've got the triangle, like the D4 for like the cultist, right? So it's kind of like a
Yeah,
cultist
yeah,
triangle
yeah.
symbol, which I think is kind of cool. So quite clever how you guys have kind of tied those in. And that was my worry when I was thinking up front when I first saw this. I'm like, okay, if I drop all these dice on, what if I roll all ones? Am I going to be disadvantaged? But hearing you say, well, no, because it depends on kind of how you play the cards and how they tie in with those dice, you could actually be in an advantage, right? It could actually help you. So it kind of gives you that replayability where it's always going to be a different setup every time you play. You can't always do the exact same strategy every single time, right?
Yes, we have only 18 cards for every faction,
Yeah.
and every turn you can discard any number. than to draw to the limit in 5 cards. And this gives you a big balance. For example, you have cards that are better played with high numbers, high levels of dice, and cards that are more mighty with lower levels.
Mm,
So you can quickly discard cards that you don't need this turn, gain better cards, and to operate with them. I During development, I was fearing that the game will be uh, not very epic. How sometimes it happens.
yeah,
For example, if your unit can make 1 damage, another unit can defend on it, and so on. And that's why we try to make every card unique. For example, there are a lot of cards that give you an opportunity, your unit, to go through several hexes,
mm,
dealing damage in every hex. So actually, the situation on the field, it differs from turn to turn a lot, and you really can feel it. You have just several units, but 1, 2 turns passed, and you destroyed half of the enemy dice. But the enemy can return in the future turns. So it's usually you win just 1 turn before your enemy could win.
that's cool. And then I was looking as I was looking at the page, the like who did your digital animation on this? I mean, it is very slick.
You mean main video?
Yeah, like you have the video where you've got the dice coming up and the cards coming in behind, and
Yeah, yeah,
then
yeah.
like, did you use an animation studio for that, or who did that?
No, it's our designers we are working with. They can create 3D animation. So we try um, to imagine something suitable for their opportunities. They try to develop their opportunities, and we did animations for last project with them, and with this one also. So it's
It is cool. That's what I'll say.
thank
This is
you.
very cool. Oh man, wow, congrats. And then in terms of this, and I'm showing on screen here the board. So the box becomes the board, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, actually, I can show you. I have a
I'll use a
sample.
script of
So
language here too for people who are listening and not watching.
yeah, so this is the inlay, the tray in the box.
Yep.
You can
And you
choose
can
one
flip
of
it
the
over.
boards
Yep.
to play. You have all components inside.
Mm.
We will update it a little after the campaign. So it's the first sample that we received.
Yep.
We found some things that could be made better, and you simply just put the board, and you have such a
So to use
uh,
descriptive language for those who are
such a
only
border.
listening to the podcast, so they have like a thermoform tray inside the box that holds all the components, and then there's like a reversible board that then goes on top of that then makes that surface somewhat flat. It's a little bit indented, right, for the play area, and
Yeah,
you roll your
yeah.
dice right on top of that, and you play on the board, which again it just looks really cool when you're playing, right? It
Uh,
elevates your gameplay up off the table as well, which is really neat. And then
that's why we tried to make it very thin.
yeah,
So on the table, so it will be comfortable for
and then
the
the artwork in
players.
this game is super cool. Like I love the different factions and the art style you have. So congrats on that. It's got this kind of comic booky kind of feel to it, which is really fun. And then
Thank
the
you.
upgraded version you have for like the all in, like when you have like the deluxeification of this game, that's when you get into like clear dice and ultra premium dice, right?
They will be not 100% clear. They will be a
Like
little
translucent.
clearer.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, and because I'm worrying about easy to use for both types of dice, because I don't want to be them just beautiful
yeah.
but hard to play. On the key feature is easy to play, easy to understand. So we will order engraved type also because a lot of our backers
Mm.
said that in comments that they want engraved. I also like engraved more, but I need to check how it will work in real life because we have rather small symbols on
Yeah.
the die sides, and they must be 100% readable for all players.
Mold costs and things like that as well, right? What is the Relics of the Void expansion? Can you explain a little bit what that is?
Well, Relics of the Void, it's expansion that adds hexes with different abilities, different
Mm.
features. Because firstly, when during development of the game, we wanted to add different hexes with different features on the board. But we met the situation that for some playtesters it was rather hard or rather hard to understand at the same time. A lot of dice and different hexes with different features. So that's why we decided to make this feature in the expansion for
Mm.
experienced players. And we will make hexes with magnetic layer,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
we will add metal sheets on the boards because during playtesting sometimes because of dice
They go flying.
just roll yeah, the hexes are flying away, and it's not cool. So we decided just to make it a little more expensive, but rather cool to play without any problems.
And then the Fly Further kind of standalone, I guess, is an expansion or it's kind of a thematic expansion
No, it is standalone game actually,
with the
and
same characters, though.
uh,
Yeah.
a little in other characters. It's the game that we firstly wanted to present as a second game on the Kickstarter,
Mm.
but we met during pre-launch campaign. We met that people. This is not the type of game that people want to back on the Kickstarter, and they mostly want to buy it from the shelves.
Mm.
It is it's not mm, it's not this type of game. We had not very good conversions. We during pre-launch ads, and we talked for several people what they like, what they don't like, and most of them said that. I'm not sure about backing this on the Kickstarter. It's a
Yeah.
fun game for 3 to 6 players. It's also rather quick about colonizing another planets, and this is the type of the game. If I will play this card, he will play this card. He knows that I can play this card, so you can you need to think for all your
Mm.
opponents and to play the best card during this turn. It's more like card game.
So it's like a smaller game.
Uh,
Yeah, this is
yeah,
similar
smaller game.
similar to what I do with Tin Robot Games. Is often we'll have like a smaller game that we've created that doesn't justify having a Kickstarter campaign on its own.
Hmm.
But by having it as an add-on to one of our Kickstarter campaigns with a larger game, there's usually enough backers to fund the manufacturing of that game, right? So then
Yeah,
you can
yeah.
sell it on Amazon or whatever in stores, but at least gets the manufacturing costs covered. We did that on Garden Geckos with Bunny Drops. We did that on Cities of Venus with Time Splicers. Cities of Venus
Hmm.
Survivors with Dust Reclamation. So it's again taking these smaller games, which are standalone games, but kind of piggybacking them on your larger campaign. And now it's a cool idea. It's something we do all the time. Where do you go from here? Like, what's like? Do you said you had another game coming potentially this fall? Can you talk about what that is, or what's like? What are you guys doing as a company?
Uh, yeah, we have a new game currently in development, and this is the game about Rembrandt painting, The Night Watch.
Ooh,
Yeah, and in this game, it is totally different from Meenakshi Temple and Diceverse. So we every campaign we make absolutely another offer for backers,
yeah,
and now it's more game like for lovers of paintings on the one hand, in such Baroque design style and everything like this in design.
yeah.
But on the other hand, in the heart of the game, there is a cool mechanic from Ark Nova and Civilization New Dawn.
Mm.
Maybe when the power of your action increases depending on at what place your card at your board.
Mm.
So you need to wait to make action in the most powerful way, but you can't do powerful actions every turns. So we developed this idea in with an interesting twist that I think that can be very interesting for, on the one hand, Eurogamers, and on the other hand, we want to make really deluxe edition with a game board standing on the table like a painting,
Mm.
and players need to paint it to draw it during the gameplay. So uh, they will put tiles from the painting on this board, also with magnetic style. We will have different components um, like some things from drawing and different colors. So I hope that backers from both
Yeah.
groups will like it.
It's,
Those who love painting and those who love board games.
it sounds really cool. On this campaign, for those who want to check it out, I'm going to put a link in the show notes for them to check it out. Diceverse, if you want to type it into Kickstarter yourself, you can find it that way. It's also already funded, so I want to say that I'm going to put this in Canadian dollars. It's the only way I can see it, but it's at $71,000 on a $6,000 goal, 556 backers, still 7 days to go. So I'm sure you'll be very, very happy with how this hockey sticks in the back end. Artem, I want to wish you all the best on this campaign. I can't wait to see how it finishes off, my friend. And I'll be keeping an eye out for this next game you have coming this fall.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, my friend, you take care. Cheers. This has been an episode of the Board Game Binge podcast, hosted by James Staley, produced by James Staley and Mike Bruner, with original music by Nick Smith. If you would like to watch these interviews live, simply subscribe to our YouTube channel, Board Game Binge, and you'll get access to live interviews, giveaways, and interesting board game content from across the industry. I can't wait for you to join us. See you next time.